Hello to my long distance friends, whether you are, let's see, in Chicago, Charlottesville, Virginia, Charlottesville, North Carolina, Oklahoma City, Denver, Colorado, and of course Detroit, various parts of Detroit. So the circumstances are that we have started our discernment process of scheduling the School of Prayer late because of two reasons, maybe three. First of all, I didn't have the faith to believe that there was going to be 10 people, let alone 30 plus people who were interested in the School of Prayer. So I got started late, and then, of course, all the push and pull of COVID. And then I guess the third, just very, very clear weakness here is my struggles with administration. I could do it, but sometimes it's like those little synapses, little connectors that make electrical circuits work well. Sometimes it just doesn't fire for me, and I'm at this place with the invitation where the ministry opportunities are outgrowing the infrastructure I have for the invitation, but hasn't grown enough to bring the kind of income to be able to pay another administrator, to have somebody that could be some sort of assistant or collaborator. So I apologize for the bumpy ride. The detail here is that the group in Detroit has struggled with me to find a date and a time for their rhythm of when they could meet. And so we weren't able to put together a cohort that could function online at distance we were last aiming at Thursday nights. So the idea then is to combine the Detroit group, those who are still interested from Detroit, into what we've started already with the group abroad on the distance cohort. So I put together a revised overview of the schedule, eliminating on the list of cohort pages, eliminating the Detroit cohort. And so this means that our Monday night online group could be around 10 people. And so I have been doing some creative thinking about how to facilitate the what I think they call them guest rooms, or different rooms where we can go and have smaller groups within the small group, ways to make that tool work for us. I'm also in the process of trying to identify another friend who is a spiritual director who could work with us on these Monday nights to help facilitate these groups. The idea is for those of you that have already started with a retreat, on a Monday night, for those of you that are already started, those that are not in Detroit, you have already been assigned partners, and I hope you continue with those. And we'll try to keep the partners within the Detroit group. So that the point there is that the Detroit people can go ahead and use the gift of those relationships to some extent for how you check in with each other when we're not doing a Zoom. So the other details would be then that we will have a retreat this Saturday. It's an online retreat from 8 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and any and everyone is invited to participate in this. This would be those from Detroit or those who've already met with me. Will use that 4 hours creatively. I'm excited about what we can learn and grow in that venue. And then for those that are within Detroit range, the question still outlying for us is if we do an in-person retreat on November 7th. So I am glad to make these videos because so much of contemplative practice is about our posture. And We're learning from Father Laird over the summer that the opposite of the contemplative life is not the active life, but the reactive life. And if you're like me, details, calendar details, administrative details can easily get me confused and frustrated, and I appreciate your patience in this journey. And I want to be able to make some of these videos so that you can see that I understand this is part of the journey. So much of spiritual practice is just finding the right time and the right space. And that takes a kind of discipline that we're having to invest here at the front end. That's the same kind of discipline that we'll always be working with for the next 8 months and for the rest of our lives. How to look at our calendars, look at our obligations, look at our time, and to be creative. And so the weakness that I have is that I'm a believer in all of these things. I'm easy, I'm really flexible, and sometimes I know that my flexibility can get us into more trouble than we need to be in. So I appreciate your patience as we try to clarify this. What this means for every single one of you is to look at that schedule that I've revised this morning. Look at the dates. There is no set pattern for which Monday nights we meet. As a matter of fact, there's a big gap between the November and the December meeting, so I went ahead and added another optional meeting because I think November and December have 5 Mondays. So I'm open to meeting with people on November 30th as an optional way to keep some sort of momentum with you. So School of Prayer is a journey in the disciplines, the study, the discernment, and the practice of the disciplines that help us stay more and more open to the active work of the Holy Spirit. We can't fake or force our way into God's presence, but we can be creative with our time. We can be creative with our resources. And little personal anecdote. So we were doing our Holland group here last night, and my kids, 3-year-old daughter, 8-year-old middle child, and 10-year-old is my oldest. Casper is 10, Shepard's 8. And in the middle of our session, when we were practicing our listening disciplines, we had a group of 10 upstairs here. First it was my oldest, and then the babysitter ran in yelling, "We need help, we need help." We rush inside the house, and my middle child has somehow gotten stuck in what's left of a laundry chute. I have no idea how he thought that was a good idea. I mean, literally his whole body is in the laundry chute. His head is inside the cabinet. And one of the men in our group here is a dentist who works with kids in panic situations often. So he managed to help Shepard calm down and to wiggle his way back up while I was in the basement holding Shepard's legs up inside of it. So, yeah, I'd hope that your life is not as helter-skelter as that. There's a lot of things that are crazy right now. And we could just have experiences like that and just say, "Oh, screw it, that's too hard." But yet, even in the midst of that kind of chaos that my children often create for me, I come back to this resolution that this ordered life, this ruled life, is what I want to do, and there's never going to be an ideal time to do this. Now is what I've got, and I am incredibly thankful for your interest and your willingness to not just trust me, but to also trust each other and to trust the Holy Spirit in this journey. I am a believer that this is a good way for us to go. And if you want to keep plugging away and given this a shot. I'm so glad to be a part of this journey with you. If you at some point come to a place of discernment and you just think, well, quite honestly, Josh, this is just too much for me at this time, that is absolutely fine too. That is a kind of self-love. Sometimes we can't make those intentional movements towards God. That doesn't mean that we won't have those chances from the Holy Spirit later in life, because nothing is ever wasted. Nothing at all. I believe in this for you. If you have any further detailed questions, I'm sure there's stuff that I could have explained better. Just shoot me an email, give me a call, a text, or whatever I can do. Much love. Bye-bye.